Hello, everyone. If you can hear me okay, please go ahead and say yes or say hi in the chat box for me. I want to make sure I'm coming in loud and clear. Good morning or good afternoon, depending on where you're at. Thank you, John. Sounds like I'm coming in loud and clear. Thank you, Teresa, for chiming in. That's wonderful. I'm glad you can hear me. I am very excited to have you joining us for today's GTR webinar. Thank you as well, Kevin. You're rocking today. You guys are awesome. Okay, so I think we are just 1 minute after. We'll probably have some more people coming on, but I don't want to waste any time because this is a power-packed webinar. So welcome everyone again. Thank you for joining us today. My name is Michaela. I am your Senior Marketing Manager here at Get the Referral, and I am your host today. We have a power-packed webinar for you today. Today, my guest will walk you through the Profit Multiplier formula. It is a proven approach to turning one job into many using hyper-local marketing and proximity strategies. So stick around because this is not a sales pitch. You're going to leave this webinar with actionable tactics that you can implement immediately. So stay tuned. Now, before I introduce our guest today, I have a couple of quick housekeeping items that I do want to take care of, as I usually do. Today's webinar is being recorded, so you will get an email with the replay link about an hour after we wrap up the live session today. Questions and comments are encouraged. We welcome them all. So on the right-hand side of your webinar screen, you should see the webinar chat box. If you don't see the webinar chat box, please try clicking on that little window icon in the upper right-hand corner of the webinar screen. If you're on a PC, you can also click Control-S now, and it should open or close that window for you. So now that we have the webinar chat box on your purview, I want to show you the tabs at the top and let you know that there is a Q&A box, and that is where you are going to type in your questions. Any questions that come up during the live session, please pop them in there. And we have already set aside some time today at the end of the webinar for our guests to answer the questions live. So don't be shy. Go ahead and answer, or excuse me, ask your questions there so we can answer them at the end of the webinar. It looks like Douglas has given us a thumbs up in that Q&A box, which is awesome. Now, in addition to that Q&A box at the top, you'll see that there's also a private chat box. This is for any private one-to-one messages that you want to send to me or our guest today. And then we have the public chat box. Now, that is where you can interact with everyone during the webinar. And if you haven't already, that is where I want you to say hi. I hope that you guys are excited to be here. Now, while you're looking in there, you can take a peek at a poll. I have a poll for you today that I want to get some details on about where you guys are at exactly. What is your biggest challenge, your biggest marketing challenge right now? Go ahead and fill that poll. Click whichever is the one that is pressing you the most. We'll give you guys a minute or so to respond to that. Thank you so much in advance for your participation. I want to hear all about your biggest marketing challenge right now, and John will be able to help address some of those things for you. So a few more seconds here. Let everybody get a second to put down their other things and pop in here and answer that poll for us. And then we will move right along into introducing our guest. All right, as soon as we have all our answers, it looks like you guys are still chiming in, which is amazing. Thank you for that. Give you guys a couple more seconds here. We've got about 30 seconds. Now, while I let you guys finish that up, I am going to start with my introduction because we are very, very pleased to have this guest back with us today. Today's speaker is Jonathon Broce. He joined us on our last webinar. He has been a GTR client or customer for years, but he is also a fourth-generation roofer. He is a growth strategist and the founder of Day 41 Thrive. He has worked with contractors across the country to help them scale smarter, simplify their operations, and multiply their profits without the chaos. And what I love most about John is what sets him apart is that he's not just teaching theory. He is been in the trenches. His strategies are field tested, right? They're practical. They're designed specifically to help local businesses like yours win. So get ready to take some notes because he's got a lot to share. Let me share the results of our poll and then I will bring him on. All right, looks like we've got a fair amount of challenges. I agree. Leads definitely cost too much, not getting enough local referrals. I hear that. Excellent. Okay. Well, very interesting. We've got some great solutions for you today. Now, without further ado, please help me welcome Jonathon Broce to the stage. Welcome, John.
Hello. Hello. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you just fine. It is
awesome.
Wonderful to have you back with us today, John. How are you feeling?
I'm feeling well. I'm getting over a cold, so I might cough a time or two, but other than that, I'm doing wonderful. So
excellent.
Fun to be here.
Well, I appreciate you taking the time to share your knowledge and expertise on this amazing formula with us today. Even if you're slightly under the weather, we appreciate your dedication to the GTR community. So without further ado, I will let you take control and let our audience enjoy everything that you have to share. I will be behind the scenes. Feel free to chat with me in the chat box. If you have any questions, make sure you put those in that Q&A box. John, please feel free to take it away.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you for having us on. We have been a big fan of GTR for a long time, and actually one of the key components in the Profit Multiplier is get the referral. And so I hope everybody gets a lot of benefit out of this. And yeah, that's kind of where I want to start with it at. Let me, I want to share my screen, right? Look at it.
Yep, you got it.
Do that now.
Take it away.
All right, I will share this screen here. All right, I just want to make sure everybody can see this out there. So yeah, so the Profit Multiplier. So if we go back to, let's say 2017, we were trying to come up with a better way to market, right? A better way to get into neighborhoods. And we started to put a combination of things together of what does it really take to be the most famous roofer in a 1 mile strategy, right? So we really call this a 1 mile pin strategy. And there's lots of aspects to it. And then we really kind of perfected that around 2019. And then we were able to help launch our company then, which is MHI, from about 4 million to 17 million. And we exited last year in 2024. So the main line of the Profit Multiplier is like how to outwork and outsmart the big players. We were one of the big players, but it was one of those things too that now that everybody's seeing, other big players coming into the space, private equity, some other things, it's going to be hard to outspend these guys. And I saw that as one of the things too, is like, it's hard to outspend the competitors. And so hopefully that we're going to be able to help you guys navigate through that. So just to go here, make sure I'm on here we go. All right, so just some background here. I am a fourth generation roofer. I have a whole team over here at Day 41 Thrive. It's with Teresa and Jeff, and we've come together to really build out a wonderful team and to make impact into contractors' lives. I have exited a couple of companies. My original building company was JB Builders. It was dumb luck. It was right before the crash in 2008. We sold it, and then we also sold another company called Rooftop Restorations, which was a exterior cleaning company that my wife and I had built, and we got out of that in 2014. Friend of mine named us the golden doodle of the roofing industry, and so we've kind of stuck with that. It's kind of fun. I have doodles. Hopefully they may or may not pop up on screen today, but if they do, then you guys will get to see them. But that's the background of it. My wife, my kids, we have a bunch of grandkids now, and that's really the heart of what it is that we want to do, right? Is to learn how to be a servant leader and to learn how to coach all of our teams through it. So one of the things that we found is one of the main challenges is dominating a market, right? So now that you have private equity backed roofing, and I was in that space for over a year and a half. Strategic response things, right? So it's one of these things you're not going to be able to outspend them, but I know that as a team that we know how to outwork them and outsmart them, right? And then being a smaller company, a lot of times that you can leverage things and have the connections that a lot of the big players can't do, right? So it's one of these things of getting out there into the community, doing the home show events, have like showcase homes and knocking on the neighbors' doors and having a lot of these things that we'll dive into. But this is really the challenge that we saw and the big gap in the market right now as far as the space of how that we can help roofing contractors go to the next level with everything. Again, we kind of start out talking about this as the 1 mile pin strategy. So this is really where we get into like being really hyper focused, right? We want to target an area, neighborhood focused. We were featured on a few of the of some YouTube stuff as the Remax of roofing, right? Because we really did a good job at marketing our actual the sales reps. A lot of people thought that our sales reps owned the company because we were really in the homeowner's face a lot with their picture on the postcards, on their trucks, on their yard signs, on everything. But we did the neighborhood focus with this stuff and the multiplier effect, right? So we saw this as the force multiplier, as really focusing in on turning one job into 5. So the 4 pillars of building out the profit multiplier is the first thing is what we call our 6, 12, and 24 pack canvassing. So this is a structured door knocking system, around the job sites, and we're going to jump into that as well. Also, strategic branding campaigns. So make sure you have an omnipresence within the neighborhoods, whether it's billboards and truck wraps and having yard signs, and how all this will work together. Automated direct mail. So we did a lot with direct mail, but we were so focused on who we wanted to go and target, and we'll jump into that as well about how that it actually does work, and you can get a 3 to 5% response rate out of the direct mail side, and as well as the hyper targeted Facebook ads. This I think is kind of the pillar that pulls it all together. So if we jump into the 6, 12, and 24 pack, I mean, everybody's called this something different, right? It's like the, or neighborhood canvassing, but it's really meant to have a 3-step system, right? So the base of it, of course, is going to be at the 6 pack. And what we would do with that is we called that that's the every appointment, all of our reps would knock on the 6 closest doors. And we kept it pretty simple, right? So, it was soft introductions. Everything that we did was a customer acquisition mindset, not just a customer service mindset, right? So little things that we would do is knock on the door and say something simple. Hey, I'm getting ready to meet with Mr. and Mrs. Jones across the street. I just want to make sure I'm parked okay, and point out at our branded truck, right? So you're starting to set this rhythm, right? And this knowledge for the homeowner to see your actual truck and your logo and everything. You're just planting a seed, right? So again, we were there 15 minutes early. We would go to the 6 closest houses. Typically 1 to 2 people would be home. So I would get to talk to, Mrs. Atkins, let's say. And so when I was over at Mr. and Mrs. Smith's house, then I was able to have some deferred rapport as well to say, oh yeah, I just met Mrs. Atkins across the street. Seems like a wonderful person, right? And you could start to open up dialogue. Oh yeah, I've lived here for 20 years with them. And now we get to the real stuff, right, for this appointment. Now we can start talking about what we call form, which is the family, occupation, recreation, motivation. I want to get inside of the homeowner's, mindset and understand why they called us out, what motivates them about their family, their occupation, and their recreation stuff. So that's the first step of the 6, 12, and 24 pack. Now, the one thing I would say is like implementing this with your sales team, you have to do all 3. You can't just pick one and do one. It doesn't work unless you do all 3. Okay, so you got to do the 6 pack. The 12 pack is what we call our pre-construction notice, right? So once we sold the job, we planted that yard sign, we'd go to those 6 houses plus the next 12, notify those neighbors, right? And it's a courtesy message, right? Hey, if a truck turns around in your driveway, if you get a shingle wrapper in your yard, because we all know that we've got that homeowner that, or that neighbor of the homeowner that looks through their blinds at you and they're looking at you like, okay, like, let's see how well these guys do. So you want to impress them as well by just not trying to sell with them anything. part of our door knocking strategy was not selling anything, was related was that customer acquisition mindset. And so you're building that goodwill as you do it. Now we call it's the build day blitz, right? So, we're there the day that we're building the roof. So one of the key things, if you guys are taking notes, one of the gold nuggets is we did the morning with distribution. So we would literally hang door hangers. We say the 24 homes, but it was really the 6 plus the 12 plus the 24. So we did the entire neighborhood, right? But we would go in and hang the door hangers early in the day. The construction would happen. The project managers were taking over. The sales reps would go and run their appointments, and then they would come back later in the day when the job was wrapping up. So this is one of those gold nuggets, like wherever that door hanger was pulled off of the door, that's where our guys would actually spend their time, to that door. So you hang 100 door hangers and 13 of them are gone. I'm starting at 13 houses and I want to have very meaningful conversations. And again, it's that customer acquisition approach of, hey, we just worked right down the street at 123 Any Street, and we just want to make sure that there's no shingle wrappers in your backyard as well. Would you mind if I checked in the backyard? And so again, these door hangers also match that same PSA, right? It's a public service announcement of, we're in the area, please call us if there's any disruptions. So that's building that basis to really get into the omnipresence of things, right? So having the yard signs out, the branded vehicles, like I can't talk enough about why that having a branded vehicle really matters when you're in the neighborhoods. That's one of those KPIs that you can't really measure. People will saw all your trucks everywhere, but it really builds this professionalism when you're inside that neighborhood, especially when you're creating this omnipresence, right? It's consistency branding. It's a digital reinforcement, right? So then we start to run those Facebook ads and everything. So I'm sure everybody, if everybody could raise their hand out there, we ran Facebook ads. We're like, it doesn't always work. It's not always the best. It's not always the best leads. Some of the times it's because of who set them up or how we set them up. But it could be the way that you have the forms turned on. So one real quick nugget too is we turned off sticky forms where they had to actually physically fill in the information. That became a better verified lead. But Facebook really wasn't for the lead. It was considered to be our commercials. It was considered to be our billboard. So what we would do is when we'd sell this house, or sell to the customer and we'd pin this house, we would pin the house for a 1 mile radius for 60 days. We would bid out an 8 to 12 ad set that had nothing to do with call to action stuff. Like it wasn't, hey, free inspection. Hey, come and, like there's been a, storm damage. Like we avoided all the stuff that just keeps getting regurgitated. We started to talk about, our brand, our culture, our crews, our customers. We tried to avoid anything that feels cringy. It literally just became our billboard, right? And it wasn't expensive. It was $20 per job. And we would pin those houses for just 60 days and run this 8 to 12 ad set, right? So it'd be meet the crew videos that you see there. So some of the time lapse, the community events that we did, anything educational like roofing content was always good stuff too. It's like you're up on the roof and then you're talking about some bad flashing and why that, it should be flashed a certain way or those types of things. But this was the key to it is that we would not measure Facebook alone because this was the main Facebook strategy that we had. Again, this reinforces that with that awareness, right? Because it's like we're going to have these postcards too, right? So Facebook ads are running. The yard sign is planted. Where they've seen our vehicles, right? We've put out door hangers, right? Now we start to send out three rounds of automated postcards, and the first one will be in the neighborhood with postcards. Like as soon as the job sold, it would trigger it out and go out into the community, right, and into that area, and then the construction notice. So we would try to send these out and trigger them about 3 to 7 days before the build, just depending on what it took to get the postcards to your area. but let's say it's 3 days. So we would trigger them out to where they landed the day before, a day of, or the day after. And then we also would send out a handwritten thank you card to the 25 closest houses as well. So we did 50 cards, and then 25 of the handwritten thank you cards. And then that way that we're really plowing the ground, we're really setting this up to when we send in a canvassing team, or you send in the sales team, like people have heard of us, they've seen us. Even if they take that postcard and they see your logo as they take it over and throw it in the trash can, it's that brand impression, right? You want to show up in multiple places, and all the time. So we would also use a tool called Lead Scout, right? So one thing that I want to do here, I'm going to stop sharing here. I'm going to show a different screen here really quick. 1 second here. And I'm going to give you guys the sauce here, because I think this is one of the best ways to actually look at this. So this was the profit multiplier and looped over again. So we've talked about all the main components, but if we're going here, so we would use a product like Lead Scout, something that tracks all of your canvassing activities, if you will. And then we would trigger for some type of a drip campaign, right? So inside of Lead Scout, you could tag a house, put a status, put some type of a tag on there, and then trigger out to your your postcard vendor based on shingles, based on tile, based on repair, based on whatever it is you wanted to. We had multiple campaigns that we would trigger out. This is before we sold the job. This is like this cold calling out in the neighborhoods, going through a neighborhood, that type of thing. Then it would come in once we set the appointment, and then everything kind of filtered through Get the Referral or the GTR app, and we had our own personalized branded app. But with the Get the Referral app, we would also pay the canvassing and sales reps for all of their, all of their demos and their sales. So instead of paying the 2% in commission, we would pay them the same amount, but we paid them through the app, and then I actually had visibility, and we could track that, right? And some of the things that it would help us do too is like we moved a lot of the self-gen spiffs over to a marketing fee and not OpEx. And, so that way that, we, salary and commission was only in the OpEx. So what this did was actually with the inadvertent thing that we didn't, think about until it actually happened. It lowered our OpEx costs for workers' comp, payroll tax, and our liability insurance stuff. But because we were filtering through with Get the Referral, but we would put the lead source, the tag, it would go into your system. And then of course, the homeowner can follow in the Get the Referral app. Then once the job's sold, so everything we've kind of been talking about, this is when like it shoots off 3 or 4 different areas, right? So boom, we would set up that automation to get the 1 mile pin strategy going, right? Run that 8 to 12 ad set. Job sold, boom. We would go in here, and now it triggers off the day 1, the day 15, and the day 30, all the postcard sets. And then it would also do some type of a canvassing, right? So we would canvass, if you don't have your sales guys doing it, we actually had a canvassing team as well, but they would go in and do a pre-job door hangers, and then a day of the job, and then they would even go back, within two weeks, and go back to the neighborhood again. So they've seen you, they understand it, they know that you've been in the area. So now it's time to harvest, and then the process starts all over again, if you will, right? So now that we're back to the beginning of being in that neighborhood and looking for leads, right? And so we liked things like Lead Scout, but because you're out there scouting, you're actually getting these leads, and you're getting data, like real actual raw data, that this needs a new roof, this one already has a new roof, this has a shingle roof, this has a tile roof. And we would tag all those things for further use in other campaigns as well. I'll get back to the main presentation here real quick. Okay, so measuring success. So making sure that you have the right apps and the right everything to be able to do that, right? So like we talked about with Get the Referral and with Lead Scout, the beauty of Get the Referral was when we set up KPIs for our teams, for our canvassers, for our brand ambassadors, for our sales team, for our production team, everybody was measured on customer acquisition, right? So, you set the KPIs, and it's crazy how the what you decide to compensate is the behavior that you get out of people. And so that's the beauty of it. All right. All right. So what this turned into, right, was higher lead volume at a lower cost. So we were able to increase that. So when you start thinking about sending out postcards, right, if you get a 0.25% conversion rate where somebody actually responds to a postcard, like that's really high. You know, we were able to see a 3% conversion rate on this total, you know, project. You know, this would yield at least 1 to 2, 3 additional sales, and then it's kept our marketing costs at that 3 to 5% all in. So, like when you're competing against guys that got a 15% marketing budget, right? And don't get me wrong, we were doing Angie leads, we used lead aggregate tools. And, you know, and we were paying 15, 20% for those types of things. But because we were able to bring our marketing costs all the way down to that 3 to 7%, we had this overall trend where we could compete now because we kept multiplying these. So when we think about the big companies, right, like they're going to have that 15% marketing spend compared to a 1 mile strategy where you can get that down to that 3 to that 6% all in. Right. So this is all about trying to be sustainable and competing with the bigger guys with that. So our heart in this is to help you outsmart, outwork, and own your market. Right. So be everywhere, work smarter, dominate what you can see locally. And then that way that you can multiply those profits, hence the profit multiplier with it. And that's where we're at with it. I know that we've got some questions I'm hoping that we're going to have. Michaela here. So, you know, I don't know what's over in there. So that was really quick. I didn't mean to blow through it, but I know that we got a lot of questions. So I just wanted to make sure that we were able to really answer questions and really help, you know, contractors out there with this.
That was amazing. And you're right. You went through it pretty quickly. So I hope that we have some questions as well. We haven't gotten any so far, but you know what I want to ask is,
yes.
I would love for you to share that diagram once more.
Yeah.
And because I want to explore that just a little bit deeper. I know that you shared this with me before the webinar. So can you go through this one more time, just not in much detail, but just the overall flow one more time for our audience, because I think this is so powerful. And since this is the profit multiplier formula in action with all the pieces, I want to make sure everybody gets this.
Yeah, no. I mean, the main thing is this is the actual SOP, the high level, if you will, of what the steps were, right? So we had a canvassing function, right? So we measured it through a lead scout or something like that, to where we could see what the canvassing team was doing, what the sales team was doing. Because at the end of the day, like if you can't measure it, it's not happening. Once we set the appointment, then we would filter that through Get the Referral app. And the beauty of that with the Get the Referral app again was being able to pay these spiffs and all of your self-gen leads through the Get the Referral app, but you can measure it, hold competitions, have your KPIs to where everybody is being held accountable to it, right? So this is literally the ecosystem for it. Once it goes through here, then it would push into our system, and we use Job Nimbus at the time. And then as you would hit certain stages, it would trigger and go back to Get the Referral app. And part of what we would do with our sales team, you know, is they would ask the homeowner, have you downloaded our MHI app? And they would download it. And then they could follow their project as well. So it was a huge advantage there with the homeowner, you know, just to be able to follow their project, put their invoices in there, all their pictures, all their paperwork, the warranty paperwork, their contracts, the proposal, everything went into the app. And that's kind of how we had that function with it. But as you're getting ready to go to the day of the build, you know, or once the job is sold, now we have multiple triggers that's going on. So the first one always is going to be to go to the Facebook ads, right? Because, you know, I would trigger it out. Our Facebook team would then jump in, start running the ads based on 123 Any Street. They would pin it, put a 60-day hold on that address, and then run this 8 to 12 ad set. And Then we would change those ads up like every 6 months, maybe 3 times a year at the most. But we would, just have this ad set that was running. The thing that worked the best always is video. You talking to your team, you talking about the customer talking about you. You want the homeowner to feel that their culture is inside of their home. The first thing on those ads too was our logo, and then it went to it. So even if they didn't watch it, the logo and that brand impression. The goal was by the time that we got here to where the canvassing team was there, that we had this appointment, right? That they had seen our logo a minimum of 20 times, right? And a lot of the data says it's 7 to 10, and people remember that logo. So the next trigger would also be to come down here we would start off our series of postcards, right? So there's 2 different ways to send postcards. One is pre-sale, one is after job sales. So the pre-sale is kind of like we talked about a minute ago. It's over here where that we see this as a shingle roof and it needs a repair, right? I'm in the neighborhood. The guys would tag the status and put shingle repair, and then it would trigger a campaign for shingle repair of like 3 or 4 postcards that would go, that would go in there. And then hopefully that turns into an appointment, right? But this is after the job is sold. So this is prepping. This is plowing the garden, so to speak, and getting the homeowner ready that we're on our way to come to the neighborhood, right? And even if we sold a neighborhood with 20 people in it, they still were getting it. Now, of course, once you sell your 10th job in a neighborhood, I would advise that you start to like updo your, or at least trade out the designs on your postcards, right? But that's what we would do. And then it would be like, hey, we'll be in the neighborhood soon. We're going to be, we're coming to the neighborhood, some type of a call to action. Like, hey, well, while we're here, like it's 18 months of no interest and no payment for all of our homeowners in Walden Lakes, right? And then when you go to the day of the build, it's the partner to us, hey, sorry about the noise, those types of postcards. So all these things are running in conjunction with you getting the job scheduled. We sent out a box of cookies to the homeowner, a handwritten thank you card to the homeowner. Then we get into the canvassing and the door hanging piece that the job sold. And so we would send the canvassing team in, like about a week ahead and put out some flyers, right? Same type of thing. The day of, the sales reps would go in and put out flyers. Then within 2 weeks of that build, the canvassing team would go back in there and actually knock on doors and start to cultivate this stuff out. So to give you guys a full spectrum of this, right? And then the process starts all over again, right? But to give you a full spectrum of this, using just one component is not going to get you that 3 to 5% conversion rates. It's over in the details of building out each one of these aspects of it.
Wow.
Was that helpful, Michaela?
Very helpful. So powerful, but a lot at the same time. I love how you have like a specific design for the postcards and the synergy between the different technology. There was a request from Bruce to share more about the daily ins and outs of campaigns. So I think you did a great job of that, but if there's more specific questions that you have about that, Bruce, please feel free to pop them in the Q&A or the chat box. I'm wondering though, maybe you can share how long does the whole process last, and each day, like kind of maybe a overview of each day of that kind of whole span of the journey.
Yeah, so I would say that thinking through that. So the time spent on, so I want to make sure I understand your question. So like in the execution or in the preparation of like building this out and then to go execute it?
Let's say one cycle, like say you have a build, you go to a house and you're going to, or you're starting the build, let's say, because I know you have some prep work. Let's start with that. And then from the full to the end, how long does that whole process take before we're back at the beginning again and getting more leads and more jobs from that one?
Yeah, no, okay. That's a great question with it. I would say it depends on your production schedule, right? And how fast you can turn jobs over. The faster you turn jobs over, obviously, the faster that you can get into more leads and more canvassing and more door knocking with it based on the output of the jobs. Most companies are, let's say they're 30 days out. So I would say that this is a 15 to 45 day strategy for most companies, from the time that you sell the job to you start to cultivate those extra three to five jobs, right? It just keeps repeating that process. So yeah, I would say it's a 15 to 30 day, kind of a turnaround. And then, we got to where that we were running the ads for 60 days to keep that going, because then we would continue to canvass after that period as well. But we would start to see our first one or two leads come in after that 30-day cycle. After the job's done, within about 10 days, you'll get at least one more job typically, right? And then, because they've seen the whole process and they've seen you everywhere. Like, the coolest part, like the ladies on the phone would hear, we just see you guys everywhere. It's like, well, we've only had 2 trucks in our neighborhood, but our yard signs are there, and they're seeing our Facebook ads, and they've seen all of our postcards, and they've seen all the door hangers. So even if they took them and threw them away, it was one of those things that they see us everywhere. So when it comes time that they're ready to buy, or at least get an inspection, like, we were top of mind. Right. And then a lot of times too, with like these postcards and stuff too, like, they see so many of them, eventually they actually put one up on the refrigerator and call you 6 months later. Like, it's really awesome to see that part of it.
Love that. Yeah, that fits in beautifully with everything about GTR, right? Like, when we talk about, you're leaning really heavy into the branding and how these neighbors and communities are talking about seeing you everywhere. And one of the really powerful things about the app is that it's branded to the company, right? And you get that precious real estate on the phone to further expand this whole magnificent customer experience that you're providing by using this formula. It fits in beautifully. And these leads that you're talking about getting, don't even include the referral piece of it.
Right.
And the rewards that you're offering these people to share with their neighbors, who are probably a very easy sell, considering all of the groundwork you've laid with this profit multiplier formula, which is really powerful.
Well, yeah. And a big aspect of it too, right, is once you start to captivate a neighborhood, now we have neighborhood champions, right? Or you call them brand ambassadors is what we would do. Hopefully CHOA president, but if it's not, it's like, we find somebody in that neighborhood that's willing to just tell our story to everybody. And then that's when we make him an advocate inside of the app. And then we had some brand ambassadors making $2,000-3,000 a month, just recommending us on Facebook groups inside of their own neighborhoods, those types of things. And they were vocalizing and telling everything about who we are and what we do. We didn't have to do it. Now, of course, the sales rep would set those people up, and then it would come through the app, and then the sales rep would get assigned to it. But the homeowner got paid for the referral on it. And so some of the things that I would recommend there is, when it came to the brand ambassador side, the magic number was 3, right, for your bonus. Like, for every 3 that we'd give them a bonus. We try to keep our all in to about $300 per sale, but make it to where, like, we did it on appointment, like an actual ran appointment sold job, and then they got a referral bonus for every 3. And then you kind of break that down too. Like, the sales team and the canvassing team were all paid through the app as well for all their referrals they brought in, or all their leads they put through the system. We sit there as a 10, right? And they got $1,000 bonus every 10. And then if we go back here, their KPIs were a little different on, like, what we measured with the canvassers. So the canvassers got $75 for they basically got $100 for a demo, and then they got $100 a sale, right? And then the lead canvasser, he would get the $100 a demo, and then $100 a sale. So what this was like the junior canvasser would get $75. The lead canvasser would get $25. Right. So like we did it that way. So it's $75 a demo, and then the same with the sale on the junior canvasser, and then the lead canvasser would get 100 and 100. So they were making money on their team while they were out there as well. The sales reps got paid less on their demos and more on their sales and quantity of sales. So they get paid like $25 a demo, and then $150 a sale, and then basically $100 bonus for every 10 sales, which is $1,000. So the cool part is we were able to incentivize the right people at the right time based on their position to get things done and to bring in leads.
That is so powerful. And you were using the GTR wallet or Extreme to pay out all of this, because the functionality is there. For anyone who's not already a GTR customer or familiar with our platform, with the branded app, it comes with that referral reward component, which makes it super easy to pay out the rewards, whether they want to transfer it as cash to their bank account or get a gift card or a prepaid debit card. Those are all options through the GTR wallet, which is from our partner Extreme. That's something that I want to touch on because I don't feel like we talk about this enough. And before I do that, I want to mention, Bruce, if you're still on, if you have any additional questions regarding the day-to-day or the ins and out of the campaigns, please feel free to pop them in the chat box. We want to make sure we get all your questions answered. But what I wanted to have you elaborate on just a bit more was the marketing spend and how that reduces. Oh, there's the doodles. How that helps reduce the OpEx costs. I don't know a ton about that, and I do. I see the tremendous power in that, and I want you to share your experience with that, with the disclaimer that none of us here on our team or anyone speaking here is a lawyer or an accountant or a tax professional. So we cannot advise you as such. Please do your own due diligence and consult with professionals for any of that type of related information. That said, John, will you share your experience with that?
Yeah, so I'll go back to that that page again. So what we were able to do is when we started to pay out our again, I'm not an attorney or a financial advisor either, so or an accountant. So but what we were able to do and what we had worked out with our counsel was that we were able to pay what we call our spot bonuses or spiffs, right? And so they became a marketing fee instead of being sales commission. So a lot of companies and what we even did was, it's 10% on commission and 2% override if it's a self-gen. So we just took that 2% of whatever that number is, right? So if your average ticket is 15,000, because it's easy math, 2% of that is gonna be $300. So we just set our rate at $300 inside of the Get the Referral app. So what we were able to do is when that happened, again, we didn't plan on this. It just happened to help bring down some of those OpEx costs, was because now that wasn't over on a payroll expense. That's now on a marketing expense because it's a referral expense. And so that lowered our overall OpEx because our work comp went down, right? So if you take a guy that's going to make $100,000 wood dollars a year, or a rep makes $100,000, and and they sell $1 million, may $100,000. Well, that extra $20,000 that they're going to make, well, if you pay that through the commission side, well, you're paying an extra, whatever the work comp rate is. Let's say it's 20% on that $20,000. Plus, you're paying the payroll tax on that. Plus, you're paying the liability if your insurance is attached to your payroll. So it helped lower our payroll expense. Don't get me wrong, you still have an expense over in marketing, but it was able to help an extra yield of savings with that, right? So, the overall program was we were getting the leads that we needed, right? The better leads, our closing rate stayed in the 50s because of this, right? Because it felt as a referral base, right? Even as the company, we're doing a lot of the legwork with the Facebook ads and all of the campaigns for all the postcards. But it helped to bring that down because now we could pay these things out for our canvassers and for the sales reps as part of their, as part of their overrides, if you will. So, and it was an ancillary thing that we just happened to stumble across. It probably saved us 1% to 2% all in on our OpEx. And then, it added 1% to our marketing. So we probably netted an extra 1% savings on our bottom line by being able to transfer that. But then when we're able to not spend 15% on marketing and down to 6 or 7%, then you've also got that big of a win as well. So it was like, how do you just keep winning and not spending money? So
I love that strategy. How do you keep winning and not spending money? That's the best, right? That's the holy grail. Wow. Okay. So great stuff. This has been super helpful and information that I think we all can benefit from. Is there any questions? If you have any questions, please put them in the chat box. We would love to answer those for you. If there are none, I want to share a few last little things. Let me grab. We did our live Q&A, so I don't want any last minute questions. Speak now or forever hold your peace. That said, I will say, if you have any questions later, after we wrap up today, please feel free to reach out to me directly. You can reach me at Michaela@getthereferral.com, and I will get you the answers that you need, even if that means getting in touch with John to get them for you. So that said, let John have the floor once more. Please feel free to share what next steps people can take if they want to learn more about the Profit Multiplier formula and work with you and your team.
Yeah, so we've got multiple things that we do, right? So thank you for that, Michaela. So if you scan the code there, we have a thing called a growth gauge, where you go in there, answer a few questions, and then it helps you understand where you're at in your journey and what you really would need help with. So that's one of the main things, and we also have a further in-depth version of kind of like helping you through this with the Profit Multiplier as well, helping you with the Facebook ads, helping you with all the designs on the postcard, giving you all the scripts that you need. So and we customize that to kind of help every one of our clients with that as well. And then one thing I would say that we do, it's different than most people. Our main focus is really culture and impact and leadership. So we have a thing that we call our culture pulse and our peer pulse, to where we can really help you have good vision on your company, just to see what's out there. You know what I mean? Just to see what's inside of the company, give you the feedback. If you ever watch Office Space, it's really not as bad as the Bobs, but we call it's the Bobs. You're interviewing the team, you're getting that data and the trends, and letting ownership know that, like, hey, like, this is what's going on. This is how people are perceiving things. And our whole goal is to, how do we build teams that will run through walls all the way to the last day, right? Because it's going to be harder and harder to compete out there on the field, and it's hard to outspend people. So don't pay that dumb tax anymore. Let us help. We would love to talk to you.
Fantastic. And a big praise from Bruce in the chat box. He says, day 41 has helped us tremendously. I can't even put a value on it. So big praise there. Shout out to Bruce. Shout out to John and Day 41 Thread for all that you guys are doing, making a difference. I will add my little spiel here before we wrap up. If you are ready to grow your referral revenue, now's the perfect time to take action. Referral Boost is launching on Tuesday, the 22nd. That is next Tuesday. This is a new GTR feature that makes it easy to collect referrals directly from your contacts using a unique referral link, a branded email, and a branded form. It is fast, it is simple, and it is built to drive immediate results. And the best part is that all of our DTR customers are getting access to this on Tuesday when it launches at no extra cost. This is breaking news, everybody. We have not even begun marketing this. You'll see teasers going out on Monday, but I am sharing the tea right now with all of you. So we are not stopping with this release, by the way. If you become a GTR customer, a brand new GTR customer before the end of July, July 31st, you'll not only get referral boost included in your plan, because that comes with the GTR subscription, but you'll also get what we're calling our referral boost fast track pack, absolutely free. This is a ready to use marketing kit designed to help you boost your first referral boost campaign and launch it without delays. It includes a 4-week plan with branded flyers, email templates, and social media graphics, complete with drafted copy. It's a value of $600. It will be yours free if you join GTR before the end of the month. Now, if you're a current GTR customer, we are not going to leave you out. I've got something for you too if you're still on with us. I am giving away 3 fast track packs completely free to the first 3 clients who claim them that are live on this webinar right now. If you're here with us, please put your name in the chat box. Let me know you are claiming it. I have 3 free referral boost fast track packs to complement your referral boost activation next week. Ladies and gentlemen, if you're here, pop it in the chat box. I've got 3 to give away, and I want to hear from you. So that said, you have a little time to do that. I will be hanging out here after we wrap up for about 5 minutes to answer lingering questions that might come through, or claim that. We got you. So scan that QR code. Looks like we've got some takers here. Matt.
All right, that's good.
That's awesome. Very cool. All right. You guys are amazing. Scan that QR code if you are new to GTR and you want to book a demo and get on this as well. Make sure you scan that QR code for Day 41 Thrive to get in touch with John. I think that is all we have for you today, ladies and gentlemen. If there are any lingering questions, speak now or forever hold thy peace. Like I said, I'll be hanging out in the chat box for you for just a little while longer. But it has been an amazing, amazing, amazing webinar. John, you always bring such value, tremendous golden nuggets sprinkled throughout this presentation. Thank you so much again for sharing your time, your insight, your expertise, and the Profit Multiplier formula with us today.
Well, and then I will say that since you're giving stuff away, we do have our SOP manual that we're going to give away to for the first 3 people that with that comment. So it's a I don't have it in front of me. It's 300 pages. So yeah. So if you're interested in that, yeah, let us know. But it's just based on the webinar side here. So
look at us giving all kinds of goodies away. If you are on this webinar live, you are getting all kinds of stuff. We love you, and we want to make sure you are winning at this game of business these days. So thank you, John, for that amazing offer. Please feel free to scan either of us, both of us, all of us. We appreciate you. We will let you get back on with your day. That is it for us today, everybody. Thank you so much again. Have a wonderful rest of your day.
Awesome.
Bye for now.
Thank you, everybody.